project was the BioRock project, and the BioRock project was to build this mesh in the ocean to grow coral. So for 10 years, we were showcasing that we can grow coral at a hyper. I know people grow coral all the time, but a hyper state by using low electricity current.
Okay? Yeah, that makes sense.
To the ocean. But then the water, and we build a whole community, and this is how I started presenting at APEC. I presented for the UNWTO. I presented for all the, big, kind of like intergovernment consortium on how to do ocean conservation. This is where, Mr. Rosso, who is the director of The Economist, which is, the magazine, stood up at an international conference and said, hey, this is a call commitment. We need to raise money and fund HIDI and Wow Bali. And of course, that project kept going. But when I started talking to him that it wasn't the ocean that needs changing, it wasn't the water conservation that needs changing, it was human transformation. Then, of course, they kind of lost momentum because they want me to be in the water solving water problem. And I'm like, no, I've done years of this. The ocean is bleaching, it's getting too warm. We can't really solve it. We have to solve human transformation. So since then, I've been looking at indigenous water tradition. See, you had never went through my program, so I could really never explain it. But a lot of my program is how to connect back to your water source. So you start designing, challenging. If water can be programmable, then how can we program water and the process of programming water so then that way our rituals with water and our ritual with everyday habits with water can be kind of like design challenges to better our life. Okay? And that dynamic is where it really went full circle for me when I got this new technology to restructure water. Because now we can see the health benefit at real time. Now I can see, now I can show you the program, the structure water or the programmable water can be hyper dynamic to your well-being and to your everyday process from, making, your skin, much more healthier. Like I used to use lotion for my skin, so it don't go dry. Now I mist with the water,
nice.
With the program of water. So then my skin don't go dry. I notice, bug bites. Normally when I get mosquito bites, it itch. Well, it don't itch when you're drinking clean water or structure water. And what structure water is smaller molecule water. Okay? Water that are now made small enough to travel through the cellular membrane of your body. So it's easy to flush out your body.
Yeah, because of the surface tension.
That's right. And then, I mentioned it to you and you said, well, there was structured water before that wasn't good for certain,
some structured water increases your pitta in your body, which is really good for a kapha culture.
Yeah.
But if you're really like activated and on fire, then you have to be a little careful with structured water because it will increase or your surface tension in your cells and your membranes are already really low.
Well, like I said, it's about knowing how to use it, whether you ingest it or you wash your hair or you mist your skin or you soak your vegetables or, like I said, make concoctions to drink with it. You know what I mean? It's all about programming the water so that way you can use it in the right ritual to empower your day.
Yeah.
And so that's what this program is. This program is an ability to, you can either drink, mist, or soak the water, and habit stack your emotion, habit stack health modality, habit stack how you look at prosperity, and then of course connecting to a deeper ancient fusion of understanding with water, or understanding with sacredness, or your community. We ask everybody to come to the meeting with their cleanest source of water, and we pour it in a bowl together. And then we use that bowl of water to be able to send all of our intention into that water, and then redistributing that water afterwards so they can use it in their everyday sacredness as part of our union and understanding.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So and then of course with the water, we will show you different water tests to let you, so you can realize that this water is changed. It's been transmitted. And there's a lot of indigenous water where they talk about water seeding, which is, where this idea come from. It's like seeding water from different tribes and different, resources of water to be able to, one, be connected to where our water source come from, but two, the connection with our community through the seeding of water from different places.
I think that it's, the idea that you're talking about is something that everyone can relate to, I think. Also bringing in the indigenous knowledge about how to use it in a particular way also shows that it's kind of like a medicine, that it's not just like use as much as you want whenever you want, but it creates some consciousness about the use and consumerism around, or consciousness around consuming water, about how special it is and how it's not not all water is the same. The other thing is that the whole idea of doing this is, again, it's kind of like what you talked about before, doing an activity, right, which includes other people and which other people can relate to, is really important. That people can identify with and then come together around. So I like the idea in relationship to how it can create a common ground for people to relate to, and a sense of sacredness that's, beyond dogma and directly related to life,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a great idea, man. And you've been doing this. Is that what you're saying? You've been having small circles around seeding water and praying over water and sharing water, and have you actually been including? Has it been at all an indigenous venture, like including some of the ceremony and I know in Bali there's a little bit of some emphasis around sacredness and water, right? And ceremony and water.
Yeah, well, the calendar that I study, Wariga, tells you what day to go collect water, and then how many spring water must you seed for it to be truly purified, or truly
Really?
sacred.
That's in the traditional stuff? This is Balinese traditional, or is it the Agama Dharma traditional?
No, well, I know that many ancient from Peru to Asian, that they use water to connect and seed, but the Balinese use it specifically on the calendar date, like the day to go do it, and the day to be purified, and even when to go collect the water, and
So does that have to do with astrology a little bit then?
yeah, it's tied into the whole cosmology of astrology, or what they call, the Balinese call Wariga, which is behavior science.
Oh, okay, so it's not just the stars, but it's also what's happening
On the land and with the people.
Oh, wow. You mean like the decision can be different if the personal human factor is different, regardless of the star
Right.
system?
Yeah.
Yes.
The star gives the star and the environment. See, in the Western astrology, the star gives the idea or the archetype of the different astrological symbol. The Balinese is tied in with the environment. How did it affect the environment? And so then once you become second hand to the environment, then you can design. With astrology, you cannot design so much. You know, you have the responsibility to your astrological sign or your astrological projection, where because of environment, where we can work with the land, it became behavior science for the people. So then you can use the behavior of the day to juxtapose who you are, so that way you can maximize the behavior of the day. And and water is used as an enabler.
Okay.
Which completely makes sense, because you can program water, you know, according to Dr. Emoto, which is, you know, what I'm talking about here. You know, you can, you know, use word, visual, music, colors to be, you know, a bottle of water was put on a picture of dolphins and the molecule changed.
Right. Right.
So, you know, the some of the ritual that we do, but the great part is that it gets you out of the habits that you're wanting to change, and focus you back into the connection of your habit through water, which is saying that you can program the water. You know, like modern people or people in general wants a technology. They, whether it's low tech or high tech, they want something that they can touch and feel and program. You know, and so water is a very good and been tested through science that is programmable. So modern people, and for us in community development, was like we're trying to develop these communities that were focusing on water, you know, conservation of the lake, conservation of the ocean, you know, conservation of pure water, and they're technically are connecting to the water at the head level, but they don't have a visceral connection or consciousness or sacredness to the water, which is a very important aspect of uniting us. Otherwise, we're connected at the idea, but we're not connected at a visceral, tangible, programmable, functional aspect such as water.
Well, it comes back to what you're saying, cleaning up the water, like just, you know, taking care of pollution and all this stuff, versus changing the consciousness of the relationship to water, where then it's not like a one-time deal and then you forget about it, but it's like an ongoing improvement in the quality of the relationship, and then thus the quality of the water will naturally follow. Instead of trying to push the boat upstream, you're just redirecting the river so it goes in that direction, and then everyone's going together.
That's
rather
right.
than, yeah.
We're enabling the consciousness and connection with the water in our everyday life. So when we meet, or when we gather, or when we co-create conservation project, it is reaffirmed in an everyday, visceral, tangible, functional, programmable connection.
Yeah, this is totally in alignment with the whole idea of like having networks built around the watershed rather than something else, you know. But the thing is that is it possible that we can talk about this during the water world thing? I'm pretty sure I would be the one talking to you. It's slightly possible that Michael and me will be, and it's slightly possible that just Michael will be. But I'm wondering whether or not somehow we can bring in Phi, as an aspect of the traditional indigenous knowledge and wisdom with medicine, and how Phi can be kind of supporting this somehow.
Well, this is what I was telling you, to co-sponsor, my children's NGO, so it'll be under your project.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, what you're talking about, man, again, it's like what you're talking about is really fundamental indigenous knowledge, right? Again, it's not just like take this or this. It's like, what's your relationship with it? What's your relationship with understanding it in your life? And how do you understand your connection with it? Not just about using this for this, but how does the knowledge about how to use it become self-evident because of your relationship with it?
Yep.
You know?
And now,
in Ayurvedic texts, they talk about, I think, at least 8 different kinds of water, maybe 12. And each one is good for a different thing. You know, spring water is different than well water, and well water is different than rainwater, and rainwater is different from the water of a river, you know? Yep. And those are different from water that's in the desert versus water that's in the forest, or the water, it's they talk about the medicinal qualities, but the thing that you find out in all these indigenous medicine things is that it's all inference. It's all inference. It's no one has to tell you that rainwater has this quality and well water has this quality that things are different and things have different qualities, and that the body's like that too, and it either adds to that or takes away from that, or you know what I'm saying? So what you're saying is so important and so supportive of the indigenous. It's so one of the things I've learned is it's so hard in some ways to understand indigenous culture, because they're not just they're just in such a different kind of relationship that it's we want to see 2 + 2 = 4, and they're that's what it seems like, but 2 + 2 actually equals 0 if you don't put anything into it, and it equals 5 if you do it in the right way. And it's just it's what? How do you what are you talking about?
No, it's
so I mean you're giving an insight on water that I don't think anybody else has. It's all going to be technology, problems, solutions for some of the problems, rights, how to renew water and all that. But really the overall consciousness behind it, the relationship to it, and that's what was developed and understood over a really long time of surviving. If it didn't rain, you didn't have food. You'd worship a god, praying that, more important than your life, that it would rain.
Yeah.
Because your kid's life depended on it, and your culture's life depended on it.
Yeah.
To lose your crop was super, super devastating. And they most likely had experienced that several times. Investing a bunch of energy and time, and boom, you lose everything. Sorry. And then you struggle, and next generation, you try to teach them that it's important to do this and important to do that, and you create stories and all this stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
So now it's it's in our face a little bit with pollution, but there's even subtleties. Even if we get the pollution thing underway, there's still subtleties with how we relate to water that could really bring us together, which is what we need.
Well, our body's polluted. So if you don't, clean up the 72% of water in your body, then what make you think you're going to take care of the pollution in the water of the lake or the ocean? You know?
Right.
So to me, like I said, for us, it wasn't just another great idea or a regeneration of ancient dynamic, but for us is to look at the tools of the ancient dynamic and how do we integrate it into modern day. And until we were able to look at how water is structured and how water is programmable, and then how can we incorporate that into these modalities of the ancient and fuse it to this ancient fusion of a modern lifestyle. It didn't work for us. And then we realized that not only did it work to bring mindset together, but it was a design challenge to better your life. You know, that you didn't need to use it for the watershed, that at the micro and macro connection to yourself and water, you were developing, you were designing your future by connecting to the water. You know, you were enabling it, you were inspiring it, and it's right here. It's stuff that's right in front of us that now that we can test and prove to you that it's changing. And if your body's 72% of that, well, one of Sadhguru says, if you were to take a physics test, and if 72% of it is in water, you better study water. And 11% is in food, you can still pass with just knowing about water. Even if you don't pass with the food, even if you don't pass with the percent on breath, 72% of water is a big part of your test. So, these are important aspect of our knowledge that we must know, that we must have connection to.
Okay. Well, the thing is on the 22nd of March. Let's meet a couple times, figure out a good ideal time for you and me, and and figure out what we might need for it, what we can do on this side, and what you have on that side, and then I like the idea of a design challenge thing. I mean, I don't know if that could be put out now, but it could maybe be offered as a supplemental call to action. Is okay, now let's return back in 2 weeks with this design challenge, and this is how you sign up, and this is what how you'll be honored. Something like that would be cool.